Hello everyone, Ravi here. Now we are going to listen to podcast news which includes summary of Kurukshetra magazine for the month of April 2021. While walking in the morning or evening, while cooking, cycling or during free time you can listen. It will enhance your learning and understanding of various accents and pronunciations. Listening improves the quality of communication and comprehension. Before going ahead, I would like to welcome you all to the virtual school. A new way of learning and teaching, with the vision of let's grow together. Our mission is to learn how to learn and teach how to teach. So stay tuned. And here we go. Accelerating investment, job creation and income growth. The aim of the budget 2021 was to revive the economy, accelerate growth and generate employment. It reflected the government's enthusiasm in stimulating investment and diversification, leading to higher incomes for farmers. When the whole economy contracted by 7.2% due to lockdown, the gross value added in agriculture sector grew by 3.4%. Budget 2021 and agriculture. Allocation. At first glance, it may seem that the allocations for the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare have been reduced when we compare budget estimates. However, when we compare the allocations in 2021 to 22 to the revised estimates of 2020 to 21, then we can see an increase in allocation of about 7,000 rupees crores. The major reduction can be explained by reductions in PM Kisan allocations. The difference in registered beneficiaries and actual beneficiaries in the latest round may be a reason for this lower allocation. B. Incentivizing investment. Development of infrastructure, especially at the farm gate and post-harvest stage, minimizes wastages and shortages. The post-harvest losses and wastages, due to lack of proper infrastructure facilities, accrues to 15 to 20%. The Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, AIF, announced by the government in May 2020 with the total corpus of Rs 1 lakh crore is a huge step in the right direction. The scheme is already available for entrepreneurs, FPOs, cooperative societies, etc. However, this year's budget speech announced that even APMC market yards would be able to utilize this fund to upgrade their marketing infrastructure. At the same time, an expansion of ENAM has also been announced. Another 1,000 mandis will be connected to ENAM. The availability of credit is an important contributing factor to production and productivity. The target for agriculture credit has been increased by Rs 1 lakh crores to stand at 16 rupees lakh crores for 2021 to 22. To further the adoption of more efficient irrigation systems, the micro irrigation fund created under NABARD has now been doubled. Another step towards investment in agriculture is reflected in a 33% increase in the budgeted amount under Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, RIDF. There are 37 areas where the RIDF funds can be deployed, including not just agriculture infrastructure, but also social sector infrastructures such as public health institutions, sanitation, solid waste management amongst others. See expenditure on major subsidies. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, PM Kisan, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, Crop Insurance Scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, PMKSY, and the Interest Subvention Scheme, interest subsidy for short-term credit to farmers, are the most critical government schemes in agriculture. The budget brings greater transparency in reporting of expenditures, especially for food and fertilizer sector. There were outstanding dues of food subsidy which was not reflected in the budget and was accounted as borrowings of Food Corporation of India. Over the years, these borrowing accumulated and crossed 3 rupees lakh crore. The budget witnessed revision in the figure of food subsidy to 4,22,618 rupees crore in revised estimates of FY21 from a budgeted figure of 1,15,570 rupees crore in the 2020 to 21 financial year, an increase of 3.6 times. Hence, this year's budget cleared all the borrowings of FCI and it reflected the true picture of food subsidy. Similarly, the arrears of fertilizer sector were also cleared. The revised estimates were increased by 1.8 times from 71,309 rupees crore for FY 2020 to 1921 to 1,33,947 rupees crore. The burden of these two subsidies has been burgeoning rapidly. The Economic Survey of 2021 to 22 has also addressed the issue of rising bill of food subsidy in the country. FCL's economic cost of rice is Rs 37 kg and of wheat about Rs 27 kg. The CIP of wheat, rice and coarse grains under NEFSA, midday meal scheme, and ICDS are fixed rate of 3 rupees, 2 and 1 per kg respectively. This has remained unchanged since the introduction of NEFSA 2013. The massive subsidization of fertilizer is also creating several distortions, one in terms of huge cost to the exchequer and other is imbalanced use of fertilizers. It has brought inefficiency in the optimal usage ratio of NPK fertilizers. This imbalance has also reduced the crop response ratio. A systemic approach to tackle this situation can be found by bringing urea under the nutrient-based subsidy and introducing direct cash transfer on per hectare basis urea and complex fertilizers. The reiterated commitment to MSP. The government through the budget has also reiterated their commitment to the minimum support price, MSP, the public procurement system. The number of farmers benefited increased from 35.57 lakh in 2019 to 20 to 43.36 lakh in 2020 to 21 in case of wheat and from 1.24 crores in 2019 to 20 to 1.54 crores in 2020 to 21 in rice. MSP had been gradually increased to assure a reasonable price which is at least 1.5 times the cost of production across all the 23 commodities. Other major announcements. The Operation Green scheme was launched to cover tomatoes, onions and potatoes. Now, the scheme has been extended to cover 22 perishable commodities, which will further support diversification at the farm level. Substantial investment opportunities were highlighted to enhance the blue economy, specifically in modern fishing harbors and fish landing centers. 5 major fishing harbors will be developed as hubs of economic activity: Kochi, Chennai, Vishakhapatnam, Paradeep, and Pechuadat. The budget allocation for Department of Fisheries has increased by a whopping 48%. The major element in the fisheries sector is attributed to Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana with the allocation of Rs 1,000 crore. Another major announcement was the extension of the survey of villages and mapping with improvised technology in village areas, Swamitva, scheme to the whole country. The Swamitva scheme was piloted in 2020 to map rural residential land ownership and to create non-disputable records, leveraging advanced technologies, such as drones for measurement. This will benefit farmers by providing them with non-disputable records of land ownership, facilitating access to bank credit and the inherent security of owning records of ownership, thus reducing land disputes and litigation. There was also introduction of an agriculture infra and development cess. The cess will be levied on items including gold, silver, alcoholic beverages, coal, and cotton, and basic customs duty will be reduced by an equal amount. Additionally, the cess will be levied on petrol and diesel at the rate of Rs 2.5 and 4 rupees per litre respectively, with equivalent cuts in excise duty. Conclusion. This was a budget intended to revive and stimulate investment, growth, and job creation. The enhanced capital expenditures increased by 34%, with record capex in roads and railways. With record levels of capital expenditures for road transport and railways, this better connectivity will impact farmers as well. Terminal markets will come closer, facilitating market access. Healthy people, healthy nation. More than 12 months into the pandemic, India has around 10.9 million COVID cases and 155,653 deaths, which was among the lowest in the world. India has, now, also embarked on an ambitious vaccination drive, with a special focus on those who are more vulnerable. Budget 2021-22 and healthcare. Production-linked incentive schemes have been announced for promoting domestic manufacturing of key starting materials, drug intermediaries and IPIs to boost domestic manufacturing of 53 bulk drugs. The schemes for promotion of bulk drug parks and medical device parks have been announced. The COVID Suraksha mission was also launched for boosting indigenous vaccine testing and development. The allocation for health and well-being in this budget has been enhanced from 94,452 rupees crore, 2020 to 21B, to 2,23,846 rupees crore, an increase of 137%. Historically, India has spent a very low quantum of public finance on health. Only 30% of the total health spending has been derived from public sources, with around 70% being private expenditure. Globally, public spending constitutes 60.1%. As a percentage of GDP, government health spending in India has stagnated at around 1% over the last 2 decades. As highlighted in the economic survey, government, center and state spend on health as a percentage of GDP has increased from 1.2 in 2014 to 15 to 1.8, 2020 to 21B. PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, Mansbai. Mansbai was announced in Budget 2021. The scheme aims to strengthen the health system at every level, primary, secondary and tertiary. A core objective of the scheme is to invest in capital expenditure in health, including in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities as well as rural areas. This also creates opportunities for public-private partnerships. The scheme aims to strengthen disease surveillance. Some of the notable interventions proposed under Mansbai include setting up of 4 regional national institutes for virology, 15 health emergency operation centers, 2 mobile hospitals and a national institution for One Health. All public health laboratories will also be connected through the expanded Integrated Health Information Portal. To expand the coverage of comprehensive primary health care, 17,788 and 11,024 health and wellness centers, HWCs, will be set up in rural and urban areas respectively. Ayushman Bharat, Health and Wellness Centers, HWCs. Historically, primary care in India has been largely focused on reproductive and child health as well as ensuring institutional deliveries. A key pillar of Ayushman Bharat is to build a system that provides comprehensive primary health services to people on the foundation of 150,000 health and wellness centers to provide services related to reproductive and child health, communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases. Following the COVID-19 outbreak, many HWCs have initiated teleconsultations. This budget has allocated funds for the continued expansion and strengthening of HWCs under Ayushman Bharat as well as under Mansbai. Ayushman Bharat, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, PMJ. In the absence of a scheme like PMJ, the second pillar of the Ayushman Bharat program, poor patients would often be left with no choice but to delay or avoid seeking treatment altogether. PMJ provides the poorest and most vulnerable families with an annual health cover of 5 rupees lakh for hospitalization-related expenses. By consolidating multiple health insurance schemes under PMJ, the government has taken a major step towards One Nation One Scheme. As per the economic survey, PMJ has had a positive impact on health outcomes even within a short span of time since its launch. In states which have implemented the scheme, the proportion of households with health insurance increased by 54%, compared to a 10% fall in the penetration of health insurance for states which did not implement PMJ. As per a survey report, infant mortality rates, under 5 mortality rate declined in states which adopted Ayush. Over the last few years, the government has made concerted efforts to formally mainstream Ayush and revitalize local traditions under the National Health Mission. NHP 2017 has also recommended the mainstreaming of Ayush. By increasing the allocation of Ministry of Ayush by 40% in B 2021 to 22, the Union Government has signaled the importance of leveraging Ayush. Nutrition, drinking water, sanitation and clean air. Budget 2021 to 22 has also focused on various programs that directly or indirectly influence outcomes in health such as nutrition, drinking water, sanitation and clean air. In Union Budget 2021-22, Mission Poshan 2.0 has been launched for strengthening the nutritional content, delivery, outreach, and outcome of various programs by merging the Supplementary Nutrition Program and the Poshan Abhiyan. An adequate quantity of safe drinking water is essential for health, as is access to sanitation facilities with appropriate sewage disposal. In this context, the allocation of 2,87,000 rupees crore over 5 years for the Jal Jeevan Mission, Urban, is a crucial step. At least 2.86 crore household tap connections will be provided under this mission. To sustain the gains made under the Swachh Bharat Mission, 1,41,678 rupees crore has been allocated over 5 years for the Urban Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. Given the challenges pertaining to air quality in many cities in India, the budget has also made a provision to the tune of 2,217 rupees crore for tackling air pollution in 42 urban centers with million-plus population, towards realization of a $5 trillion economy. The Indian economy has set an ambitious target of transforming itself into a $5 trillion economy by 2024-25. As per World Bank's data, India's GDP at constant prices stood at $2.94 trillion in 2019. However, the country's progress towards achieving this ambition received a setback by the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Approach to counter the challenges posed by COVID-19. An already slowing global economy got a further blow by the global pandemic in 2020. In this backdrop, there was a dire need to follow a two-pronged approach to A. Mitigate the impact of the pandemic and B. Ensure accelerated growth. Both liquidity injections and fiscal stimuli are being used to steer the economy back on the growth trajectory. Some of the cornerstones of achieving higher rate of growth are facilitating agriculture, bolstering infrastructure, boosting trade and investment, guaranteeing employment and ensuring health. Halting the slowdown. In recent years, the rate of growth of GNI has slowed down since 2017 to 18. However, 2020 to 21 witnessed an unprecedented contraction of 7.9%. Throughout 2020, the goal provided stimuli to the economy, in the form of Atmanirbhar Bharat packages. These packages, together with the measures taken by the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, amounted to Rs 27.1 lakh crores, i.e. around 13% of the GDP. From 9.5% of GDP in 2020 to 21, the fiscal deficit is projected to become 6.8% in 2021 to 22 and further to 4.5% in 2025 to 26, for which the budget envisages fiscal consolidation. Besides, as a part of the package, structural reforms in the past year have extended across various sectors, including new acts for agriculture, new definition for MSMEs, enactment of labor codes, reforms in the power and mineral sectors, facilitating the ease of doing business, etc. These measures have rightly underscored the importance of generating demand, along with boosting the supply. In this context, the budget's estimate of 1,75,000 rupees crores as receipts from disinvestment is of significance. Health first. Unlike recent earlier crises faced by the Indian economy, i.e. foreign exchange reserve crisis of 1991 and global economic crisis of 2008, the trigger of the current economic crisis is a health crisis. This divulges the linkages between public health and economic well-being of the nation. The budget announcements with allocation of 2,217 rupees crores to 42 urban centers for dealing with air pollution, a voluntary vehicle scrapping policy, rolling out of pneumococcal vaccine across India, and provision for COVID-19 vaccine will directly or indirectly lead to better public health. The National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill proposes to ensure transparency, efficiency and governance reforms in the nursing profession. Harnessing inherent strength. Atmanirbhar Bharat encompasses harnessing of inherent strengths for achieving desired goals. An important component of doing so is to provide an enabling socio-economic or extra-economic environment by focusing on nutrition, education at all levels and skilling. In this context, Budget 2021-22 announced several important measures related to nutrition. Refer to the second chapter of this summary, Education and Skill Development, dealt in following chapters of this summary. Handling external sector. The revival and the recovery of economic parameters hinge greatly on the performance of the external sector, given that supply chains have become more globally integrated. Disruptions in the chains, coupled with shrinking purchasing power, due to the pandemic and lockdowns, have resulted in India's trade with the rest of the world in April to December 2020 was around 23% lower than the corresponding period in 2019. The new trade policy 2021-26 is to be implemented on 1 April 2021. A district lead export growth is in line with the announcement of last year's budget, wherein the focus was on encouraging each district to tap its potential for exporting a product. Budget 2021-22 has endeavored to rationalize the customs duties, striking a difficult, yet necessary balance between the welfare of the domestic producers and domestic users. To provide a competitive edge to the MSMEs, import duties on products produced by them have been proposed to be increased. Agriculture Infrastructure and Development cess has been proposed on certain items including urea, apples, crude soybean and sunflower oil, crude palm oil, kabuli chana and peas. The proposed cess is expected to help in providing the much-needed improvement in agriculture infrastructure. FDI flows in April to September 2020 were $30 billion, i.e., around 15% higher than the corresponding period of 2019. To facilitate ease of investing in India, the budget has revised the cap on FDI in the insurance sector from 49% to 74%. Honing facilities for employment. The lockdown witnessed large-scale reverse migration from urban to rural areas, socio-economic hardships, followed by remigration to urban areas. The doubling of the outlay for MSMEs, which has created 11.10 crore jobs in the country, may prove to be a game changer. Further, recycling of ships shows a high employment potential. The budget announcement of doubling recycling capacity of around 4.5 million light displacement ton by 2024 is expected to generate an additional 1.5 lakh jobs. The budget has proposed to provide 1,000 rupees crores for a new scheme for the welfare of tea workers, especially women and their children in Assam and West Bengal. For migrant workers in particular, the budget made important announcements, with universal coverage under One Nation One Ration Card plan, launching a portal to collect relevant information, extending social security benefits to gig and platform workers, minimum wages to apply to all categories of workers, all workers to be covered by the employee's state insurance. Corporation, women to be allowed to work in all categories and also in the night shifts with adequate protection, and reducing compliance burden on employers. Hosting infrastructure. Important budget announcements regarding infrastructure have been dealt in the chapter. Infrastructure development. Hailing agriculture. Budget announcements regarding this sector has been dealt in previous chapters of this summary. Conclusion. The task of achieving a $5 trillion economy is daunting. The resilience of the economy is evident, especially from the revival in FDI and trade. Further, the RBI has projected a growth of 10.5% in 2021-22. The International Monetary Fund too has projected India's growth in 2021 to be 11.5%, after recording a dismal 8% in 2020. Timely and effective implementation of the budget announcements will have a multiplier effect across different sectors of the economy. Boosting the education sector. The National Education Policy 2020, NEP 2020, envisages education as a continuum without any segmentation and focuses on making education more experiential, holistic, integrated, character-building, inquiry-driven, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, discussion-based, flexible, and above all, more joyful. It aims at producing engaged, productive and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by the Constitution. The Budget 2021 touches upon the core foundation of school education and paves way to achieve the objectives of NEP 2020. The budget announcements for school education can be categorized in core themes of access to quality education, teachers, technology, innovative pedagogies, equity and inclusivity, transformation of assessment, and reinforcement to adult education. Access to quality education. Announcement regarding 15,000 exemplar schools which will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of national education policy. Exemplar schools will be developed as a center of excellence where children will have access to an equitable and inclusive school environment. The focus of these schools would be on holistic development of learners. Teachers would be trained to adopt experiential learning, including hands-on learning, arts-integrated and sports-integrated education, storytelling, and activity toy-based pedagogy. 100 new SANIC schools will be set up and 758 Lavia model residential schools will be set up in tribal areas to create robust infrastructure facilities for our tribal students. B. Teachers. Budget lays a lot of emphasis on capacity building of teachers. It has been mentioned that 56 lakh school teachers will be trained through the National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers for Holistic Advancement, NISHTA. During the pandemic, all 18 modules for the training were made online. They were contextualized and translated in 10 regional languages and have been uploaded on Diksha. After the budget announcement, NISHTA training will further be extended to the secondary teachers and a specialized online NISHTA training is being designed for primary grade teachers to train them on foundational literacy and numeracy. In order to equip teachers in this rapidly changing era, it has been decided to formulate National Professional Standards for Teachers, NPST. As on today, we only have minimum qualifications for appointment of teachers which are prescribed by the NCTE. However, NPST will be a much more comprehensive set of norms encompassing the expectations of all participants. It will also include planning the career of a teacher in a systemic manner. A national mission for mentoring, with a large pool of outstanding senior retired faculty who would be willing to provide short and long-term mentoring professional support to university college teachers, as envisaged in NEP 2020 has also been announced. C. Technology. NEP 2020 puts lots of emphasis on increased use of technology at all levels. In this context, it has been envisaged to set up a national digital educational architecture, NDIA, as diverse education ecosystem architecture for development of digital infrastructure. The innovative pedagogy. As visualized in NEP 2020, pedagogy must evolve to make education more experiential, holistic, integrated, inquiry-driven, learner-centered, discussion-based and enjoyable. NEP also gives autonomy to the teachers to choose the pedagogy in classrooms. Budget 2021 truly captures this spirit and propagates the unique indigenous toy-based learning. Pedagogy for all levels of school education. For preschoolers, toys are used for making children ready to learn. However, they can be used from preschool to higher secondary education. Toy as a teaching learning resource has a potential to transform classroom pedagogy. An expert committee has been constituted to finalize the concept of toy-based pedagogy which will be suitably incorporated in NCF for school education. Equity and inclusivity. The National Education Policy also highlights the importance of SDG 4, adopted by India in 2015, which seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, by 2030. Budget 2021 announced that Indian Sign Language, ISL, will be standardized so that quality content is available to such children. This will promote the learning of children with hearing impairment, thereby providing them an equal opportunity to unfold their potential. Post-matric scholarship scheme for the welfare of scheduled castes has been revamped and central assistance has also been enhanced in this regard. F. Transformation in assessment. The teaching in the classroom as well as the methods of assessment, question setting and evaluation, reflect towards emphasis on rote learning. It is creating generations of young people who have not been encouraged to think. This also leads to unfair situations where the same students have to sit for entrance tests to the IITs, defense services, etc. This anomaly has encouraged coaching to flourish, filling the vacuum created by school system. NEP 2020 recommends that the aim of assessment in our schooling system must shift from one that is summative and primarily tests rote memorization skills to one that is more regular and formative, promotes learning and development for our students. It also points out the need to redesign board exams to encourage holistic development. In order to change the nature of board exams, Budget 2021 advocates reforms in CBSE board examination. Accordingly, CBSE has started modifying the design of its question papers by adding questions that are context case-based. In 2022 board exams, CBSE will have 20% application-oriented source case-based questions for Class X and 10% for Class 12. Further, Holistic Progress Card, HPC, for students, as announced in budget and envisioned in NEP 2020, is a paradigm shift from traditional way of assessment. The progress card of all students for school-based assessment will be completely redesigned. The progress card will be a holistic, 360-degree, multidimensional report that reflects in great detail the progress as well as the uniqueness of each learner in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Holistic Progress Card will also provide students with valuable information on their strengths, areas of interest, needed areas of focus, and thereby helping them in making optimal career choices. It will help the teacher and student, and the entire schooling system, continuously revise teaching learning processes to optimize learning and development for all students. G. Reinforcement to adult education. The SDG 4.6 mandates that, by 2030 ensure that all youth and adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. The importance of adult literacy is also emphasized in NEP 2020. Budget 2021 announced increased access of resources, and introduction of online modules covering the entire gamut of adult education. Conclusion. Budget 2021 treats education holistically and intends to achieve the vision of NEP 2020, which is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Atmanirbhar Women. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Economic Survey 2020-21 estimated India's GDP to contract by 7.7% in FY 2020-21. Sector-wise, agriculture remained the silver lining while contact-based services, manufacturing, construction were hit the hardest. It was against this backdrop that the budget 2021-22 was presented. The focus in this year's budget is to strengthen the Sankalp of Nation First, doubling farmers' income, strong infrastructure, healthy India, good governance, opportunities for youth, education for all, women empowerment, and inclusive development. The budget proposals for 2021-22 rest on 6 pillars: health and well-being, physical and financial capital, and infrastructure, inclusive development for aspirational India, reinvigorating human capital, innovation and research and development, and minimum government and maximum governance. Women and the health sector. PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana, Mansbai. It has the power to impact women, skilled and semi-skilled, rural and urban, as participants or beneficiaries. This scheme will develop capacities of primary, secondary, and tertiary care health systems, strengthen existing national institutions, and create new institutions, to cater to detection and cure of new and emerging diseases. Important details regarding Mansbai has been discussed in previous chapter, Healthy People Healthy Nation. Women constitute almost half of the qualified health workforce in the country, as doctors, nurses, ASHA workers, midwives, Anganwadi workers, etc. Thus, if the scheme is gender responsive in its outreach as well as implementation and monitoring, it can impact the lives of Indian women in meaningful ways. The proposed healthcare bills, the National Commission for Allied Healthcare Professionals Bill and National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill also have the ability to take into account the differential gender needs. Social sector schemes benefiting women. Mission Poshan 2.0 scheme. It will strengthen nutritional content, delivery, outreach, and outcome. A sum of 24,435 rupees crore has been set aside for the Women and Child Development Ministry for the next fiscal in the budget, a 16.31% increase. Out of this, the highest amount has been allocated to the newly announced Saksham Anganwadi and Mission Poshan 2.0 scheme. Fund for other schemes related to women such as Mission Vatsalya, Child Protection Services and Child Welfare Services, Mission Shakti, Mission for Protection and Empowerment of Women, Samarthya, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, Kresh, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana etc. have been sufficiently allocated. Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, PAMOY. The budget 2021-22 has the proposal to add 1 crore more women under PAMOY. The government also plans to add 100 more districts in next 3 years to the city gas distribution network. Jal Jeevan Mission, Urban. It will help reduce women's drudgery and time spent on household labor and care work. JJM aims at universal water supply in all 4,378 urban local bodies with 2.86 crores household tap connections, as well as liquid waste management in 500 Amrit cities. Fillip to women labor force participation. According to Census 2011, there are 149.8 million women workers in India, out of which 121.8 million are in rural areas and 28 million in urban areas. Yet, when it comes to seeking employment, women constitute only 18.6% of the population working or looking for work. While female labor force participation has never been very high due to social practices, it has been falling in recent years. It stood at 24.5% in 2018-19 for women aged 15 years and above, 31.2% in 2011-12, and is well below the global average of 45%. The COVID-19 pandemic has only worsened the situation with huge job losses in sectors such as education, domestic work, tourism, restaurants, where women find employment in large numbers. While both men and women were hit by the economic crisis, men have found it easier to find employment again. According to a study, only 16% women in December 2019 still retained their jobs during and after the lockdown as opposed to 60% men. And the major brunt of this was borne by urban women. Government has taken initiatives for creating jobs at local levels through Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, PMGKY, Atmanirbhar Bharat and Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan, (GRA). Govt has also launched PM-SBA Nidhi scheme to facilitate collateral-free working capital loan up to 10,000 rupees of 1-year tenure to approximately 50 lakh street vendors including women to resume their businesses. Opportunities in gig economy. Women are seeking and finding more opportunities in urban areas, particularly the gig economy, a labor market characterized by prevalence of short-term contracts and freelance work, which includes digital platforms offering on-demand services, besides the informal sector which includes work settings such as direct selling, beauty parlors etc. As much as 50% of the gig economy labor force is women, and these jobs being part of the new economy, the gender pay gap is also narrower. However, the rules governing the gig economy are somewhat vague. It is in this context that the budget announcement on the gig economy has to be seen. Budget proposed to launch a portal that will collect relevant information on gig, building, and construction workers among others. For the first time globally, social security benefits will extend to gig and platform workers. Minimum wages will apply to all categories of workers, and they will all be covered by the Employees State Insurance Corporation. The proposed portal can collect relevant, gender-based information on gig, building, and construction workers, which will help ensure that benefits of various schemes reach women workers. The budget also indirectly recognizes the fact that women will increasingly be ready to be upskilled for future work opportunities, allowing women to work across sectors and in night shifts. The budget proposal, to let women work in all sectors and also in night shifts, can boost gender diversity in workplaces and see increased participation of women in sectors such as manufacturing and engineering. International Women's Day is celebrated every year on March 8. The campaign theme for International Women's Day 2021 is Choose to Challenge, the idea being to choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality, seek out and celebrate women's achievements, thus helping create an inclusive world. Textile and tea industries, big-time employers of women. Both these sectors saw major announcements in the budget this year, with the government announcing 7 mega investment textiles parks, MITRAs, and production-linked incentive scheme in the budget, so as to enable the textile industry to become globally competitive and attract large investments. It throws open new employment opportunities for women. The announcement of 1,000 rupees crore for the welfare of tea workers, especially women and their children in Assam and West Bengal, is a welcome step. Skilling and training imperatives. Realignment of National Apprenticeship Training Scheme. With 90 million youth entering the workforce by 2030, and with 60 million employment opportunities expected to be created due to the digital economy by 2025, India needs to work on improving the employability of the youth. Budget 2021-22 proposed to amend the Apprenticeship Act and realign the National Apprenticeship Training Scheme for post-education apprenticeship, training of graduates and diploma holders in engineering. This will help create talent that is employable and equipped with the right set of skills relevant for the industry. An initiative is underway in partnership with the UAE to benchmark skill qualifications, assessment, and certification, accompanied by the deployment of certified workforce. India also has a collaborative training, inter-training program with Japan to facilitate transfer of Japanese industrial and vocational skills, techniques and knowledge. India plans to take forward these initiatives with many more countries. In order to promote enhanced academic collaboration with foreign higher educational institutions, the budget has proposed to put in place a regulatory mechanism to permit dual degrees, joint degrees, twinning arrangements and other such mechanisms. Encouraging entrepreneurs. Cut in margin money requirement under Stand Up India. To further facilitate credit flow under the scheme of Stand Up India for SCs, STs, and women, the budget has proposed to reduce the margin money requirement from 25% to 15%, and to also include loans for activities allied to agriculture. Conclusion. The role of women outside the home has become an important aspect of the social and economic life of the country. But limited access to healthcare, education and funds act as a barrier in realizing their dreams, further aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, greater emphasis needs to be made on the education and training of women, so that they become equipped to stand shoulder to shoulder with men. Infrastructure development. Union Budget 2021-22 comes in the 74th year of India's independence, and 2021 is a milestone year which will witness the 8th census of independent India as well as India's turn at the BRICS presidency, the year for our Chandrayaan-3 mission, and the Haridwar Mahakumbh. Need for infrastructure development. India is witnessing rapid urbanization. According to Census 2011, India's urban population was 37.7 crore, which is projected to grow to about 60 crore by 2030. According to UN, more than 40% of country's population is expected to reside in urban areas by 2030. It is imperative that housing, transport, water and sanitation be accorded priority. Infrastructure development is crucial with strong forward and backward linkages. It directly or indirectly impacts 270 different industries. Apart from real economy, an upswing in infrastructure has strong implications for other sectors as well, especially the financial and housing sector. Important announcements. Infrastructure creation needs long-term debt financing. 20,000 rupees crores has been provided to capitalize the setting up of a Development Financial Institution, DFI. The aim is to have a lending portfolio of at least 5 rupees lakh crores for this DFI in 3 years' time. Affordable housing projects can avail a tax holiday for 1 more year, till 31 cent March 2022. The additional deduction of 1.5 lakh shall therefore be available for loans taken up till 31 cent March 2022 for the purchase of an affordable house. Monetization of surplus land with government is also proposed. This shall pave way enhancement in land availability for affordable housing. The budget 2021-22 has sought to improve the living conditions in urban areas. The Jal Jeevan Mission, Urban, will be launched to provide universal water supply in all urban local bodies with 2.86 crores household tap connections, as well as liquid waste management in 500 Amrit cities. The Urban Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0 will be implemented with a total financial allocation of 1,41,678 rupees crores over a period of 5 years from 2021 to 2026. The big push for infrastructure development is planned to be funded by a sharp increase in capital expenditure. 5 rupees and 54 paise lakh crore is being injected as physical stimulus. A national monetization pipeline of potential brownfield infrastructure assets has been announced in the budget 2021-22. An asset monetization dashboard will also be created for tracking the progress and to provide visibility to investors. Productivity-linked incentive schemes to create manufacturing global champions for an Atmanirbhar Bharat have been announced for 13 sectors. Roads and highways infrastructure. More than 13,000 kilometers length of road have already been awarded under the Bharatmala Pariyojana project, of which 3,800 kms have been constructed. By March 2022, another 8,500 kms will be awarded and an additional 11,000 kms of national highway corridors will be completed. Railway infrastructure. Indian Railways have prepared a National Rail Plan for India, 2030. The plan is to create a future-ready railway system by 2030. Bringing down the logistic costs for railways is at the core of our strategy to enable Make in India. It is expected that Western Dedicated Freight Corridor, DFC, and Eastern DFC will be commissioned by June 2022. The following additional initiatives are proposed: the Sonnagar, Gomoh section, 263.7 kilometers, of Eastern DFC. Gomoh-Dankuni section of 274.3 kilometers will also be taken up in short succession. Broad gauge route kilometers, RKM, electrified is expected to reach 46,000 RKM, and 100% electrification of broad gauge routes will be completed by December 2023. High-density network and highly utilized network routes of Indian Railways will be provided with an indigenously developed automatic train protection system that eliminates train collision due to human error. Urban infrastructure. A new scheme will be launched at a cost of 18,000 rupees crores to support augmentation of public bus transport services. 2 new technologies, i.e., Metrolite and Metroneo, will be deployed to provide metro rail systems at much lesser cost with same experience, convenience and safety in Tier 2 cities and peripheral areas of Tier 1 cities. Power infrastructure. India has added 139 gigawatts of installed capacity, connected an additional 2.8 crores households and added 1.41 lakh circuit kilometer of transmission lines. A framework will be put in place to give consumers alternatives to choose from among more than one distribution companies. A revamped reforms-based result-linked power distribution sector scheme will be launched. The scheme will provide assistance to DISCOMs for infrastructure creation, including prepaid smart metering and feeder separation, upgradation of systems, etc., tied to financial improvements. Budget 2021-19-22 proposes to launch a hydrogen energy mission in 2021-22 for generating hydrogen from green power sources. Ports, shipping, waterways. Major ports will be moving from managing their operational services on their own to a model where a private partner will manage it for them. For the purpose, 7 projects will be offered by the major ports on PPP mode in FY 21-22. A scheme to promote flagging of merchant ships in India will be launched by providing subsidy support to Indian shipping companies in global tenders floated by ministries and CPSEs. This initiative will enable greater training and employment opportunities for Indian seafarers besides enhancing Indian companies' share in global shipping. India has enacted Recycling of Ships Act 2019 and acceded to the Hong Kong International Convention. Around 90 ship recycling yards at Alang in Gujarat have already achieved HKCC compliant certificates. Efforts will be made to bring more ships to India from Europe and Japan. Recycling capacity of around 4.5 million light displacement ton (LDT) will be doubled by 2024. Petroleum and natural gas. The following key initiatives have been announced in the budget 2021-22. Ujjwala scheme to cover 1 crore more beneficiaries. 100 more districts to be added to the city gas distribution network. A gas pipeline project will be taken up in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. An independent gas transport system operator will be set up for facilitation and coordination of booking of common carrier capacity in all natural gas pipelines on a non-discriminatory open access basis. Augmenting financial infrastructure. Budget 2021-22 proposes to consolidate the provisions of SEBI Act 1992, Depositories Act 1996, Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956 and Government Securities Act 2007 into a rationalized single securities markets code. Stressed asset resolution by setting up a new structure. An Asset Reconstruction Company Limited and Asset Management Company would be set up to consolidate and take over the existing stressed debt and then manage and dispose the assets to alternate investment funds and other potential investors for eventual value realization. Recapitalization of PSBs. To further consolidate the financial capacity of PSBs, further recapitalization of 20,000 rupees crores is proposed in 2021-22. Deposit insurance. Government had approved an increase in the deposit insurance cover from Rs 1 lakh to 5 rupees lakhs for bank customers. For NBFCs with minimum asset size of 100 rupees crores, the minimum loan size eligible for debt recovery under the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest (SARFAESI) Act 2002 is proposed to be reduced from the existing level of 50 rupees lakhs to 20 rupees lakhs. GST collections are at record levels. Income tax return filers increased to 6.48 crore in 2020 from 3.31 crore in 2014. FDI topped the world this year. Foreign exchange reserves are at a record high. Digital payment growth rates lead the world. Spending on rural infrastructure development has increased by 34% to 40,000 crores and micro-irrigation corpus of 10,000 rupees crores which can boost farm income in the hinterland. In a first time, senior citizens of age 75 and above earning only pension and interest income will no longer have to file their IT returns. Gross tax revenues are expected to rise by 16.7%, mainly due to a projected increase of 22% in direct taxes. Environmental, social and governance (ESG) concerns would have to be taken into account into infrastructure projects as institutional investors look at these factors before committing investments. ESG integration would help align infrastructure development with India's Paris Accord obligations and help finance the projected 450 GW of renewable energy by 2030. Inclusive marksmanship with rural prosperity. In India, more than 65% of the total population lives in villages and therefore rural development itself signifies its importance in all kinds of public policy making. Thus, rural development can be used as an index of appraising economic development of our country. Initiatives for rural development. The soul of the budget proposal revolves around 6 pillars and those are found to be distinct yet complementary to each other. Pillar 3 of the budget proposal on Inclusive Development for Aspirational India covers a lot on rural development, agriculture, and inclusiveness. MGNREGS, which provides in situ employment at the rural area, continued to get its share of 73,000 rupees crores. budget has allocated 40,000 rupees crores for Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. The funding allocation made to National Rural Drinking Water Mission has been increased from 11,500 rupees crores in 2020 to 1921 to 50,011 rupees crores in 2021 to 22. Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sahayak Yojana, Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Abhiyan and Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana got increased share in this budget. Provisioning for agriculture. Major budget announcements regarding agriculture has been discussed in the previous chapter, accelerating investment, job creation and income growth. The launch of PM Kusum by means of Energy Sovereignty scheme removed farmers' dependence on conventional sources of energy and linked pump sets to solar energy. To strengthen it, government has made a funding provision of 776 rupees crores in this budget. Initiatives for inclusiveness. Considering the role of MSMEs in Indian economy, which is contributing 32% in GVA and employing around 11 million people, has got a budget provision of 15,700 rupees crores, which is more than double of the previous budget provision. National Social Assistance Program got a higher budget outlay. Various umbrella program for development of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, minorities and other vulnerable groups got the increased budget provisioning. Government has increased the funding support of 2,500 rupees crores to Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, which is 5 times higher than the previous year allocation. Conclusion. The government seems to be committed to inclusive growth and infrastructure development so as to accomplish the lofty goal of $5 trillion economy. MSP operations bring financial benefits to farmers. The rationale behind the minimum support price MSP operations is to provide guaranteed price and assured market to the farmers and protect them from the price fluctuations and market imperfections. The guaranteed price and assured market meant to encourage higher investment and in adoption of modern farming practices. CAP recommends MSPs of 23 commodities, which comprise of 7 cereals: paddy, wheat, maj, sorghum, pearl millet, barley and ragi, 5 pulses, gram, 2, moong, urad, lentil, 7 oilseeds, groundnut, rapeseed mustard, soya bean, sesame, sunflower, safflower, Niger seed, and 4 commercial crops, copra, sugarcane, cotton and raw jute. The Commission submits its recommendation to the government in the form of annual price policy reports published separately for 5 groups of commodities: kharif crops, rabi crops, sugarcane, raw jute and copra. After receiving the feedback from them, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, CCA, takes a final decision on the level of MSPs and other recommendations made by CAP. Under the MSP operations, FCI procures mostly rice and wheat from the farmers for ensuring supplies of grain under the National Food Security Act, NEFSA, and keeping a buffer stocks of grains. NAFED procures mostly oilseeds and pulses, while CCI procures cotton. Thank you so much for watching this video as a podcast. Do like, share and comment. Press the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to get new notifications. Thank you. Take care and stay safe. God bless you all. Jai Mabadi. To download news and editorials in MP3, follow us on Telegram, Virtual School. The link is provided in the description below.